So I'm going to start off. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm Jason Camelio from the Office of Global Initiatives at Berkeley, and I'm joined by my co-host and producer, Ray Soul. And we are super excited to have you here for this edition of Global Connections. This is super cool. We've been wanting to do this one for a long time here, and we are super excited about our guest and his team from our Berkeley, New York City campus at the Power Station. So this is going to be super informative and a great masterclass experience. And we are recording the session, as you know, so just some basic protocols as we're in here. If you have questions and things, you can throw them in the chat. And at some point in time, we'll get to a Q&A section toward the end, and we'll open it up for people who are here that if you want to turn on your camera and open up your mic and ask our guests questions about our topic today and about, just Berkeley, New York City and the new program that's opening there and Avatar Studios and all the amazing work that's going on. This is a great opportunity to do that. So again, thank you for joining us. So without further ado, Steven Weber is an Emmy Award-winning composer, best-selling author, musician, music producer, and his records have charted #1 on the billboards. He's helped to design Berkeley's music production and engineering curriculum. He also founded Music Production and Technology Innovation Master's Program at our Berkeley Valencia campus. His best-selling book, Turntable Technique, The Art of the DJ, was the first book to teach turntable as a musical instrument. If you don't have a copy, you're going to want to check this out. It's pretty incredible. His Berkeley online course on music production won the International Best Online Course, not for music, for all online courses in 2010. He's now leading, of course, Berkeley NYC, where he just oversaw the renovation of the Power Station studios. And I think at some point in the session today, you might get a peek at the incredible work that he and his team have done. Steven's recorded and performed with DJ Premier, Nas, Steve Vai, Bela Fleck, and Victor Wooten, and he's hosted sessions at the Power Station with Mick Jagger, her, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and John Legend. Steven and I have traveled to a few continents together and had some incredible experiences, and I'm really happy to have you here with us, Steven. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason. That was a very nice introduction. And yeah, like Jason said, we have traversed the world together, and I am just a huge fan of what Jason and Ray are doing. It's just incredible. What an amazing resource. I can't say enough good things about what this whole global initiatives has been doing under Jason. He's been there for many years, and his leadership has been transformative. I think, especially during this time of COVID, to be keeping things afloat and being a service and doing sessions like this and all the other things that he's been doing. So thank you, Jason. I'm super excited to be here this morning. It's great to see all your faces. Hey, just to start out with, I'd love it if everybody, whoever is not like, in their pajamas, let's see everybody and let's all wave for a second. I'd love to see your faces. This is really great, and I'm happy for you to, do this however you want. Hey, there we go. This is awesome. All over the world, man. I'm happy for you to mute your video or keep it on. I love seeing your faces, and I can kind of see how you're reacting. I want to make this very interactive, so I am going to be asking you guys to respond and answer some questions and things like that. And I would say, if you can, we're going to be doing a little bit of listening today as well. So I see some folks with headphones on. I see some folks, it looks like they're in their studios, their project studios. That's great. I would just say, be ready to do some listening in the best way that you can with the setup that you've got at your disposal right now, so that we can kind of make some distinctions there. Great. I'm sitting here at the Power Station at Berkeley NYC. This is my office here, and I'm in front of two ATC monitors, making an equilateral triangle with my head. In my mix position, I have a lot of absorptive materials out in front of me, and some corner bass traps. And I've been tuning the space. I only moved in about a month ago, and I've been tuning it since then to try and this is where I do a lot of mixing and a lot of critical listening. And I encourage everybody to try to have a space where they feel comfortable, and they can they can mix there, they can take things out into the world, and they'll sound good. Headphones are fine these days. I mean, so many people, we've the last 10, 20 years, we've gone from almost everybody listening, through speakers, to almost everybody listening through headphones. So I have to admit that I do a lot of mixing in headphones now. I used to just kind of reference, check headphones occasionally. Now, when I'm mixing, I probably spend about 50% of my time in headphones. And the other thing that I do that I really encourage people to do is I have like 5 different sets of headphones, and I check in all 5 of them. I have some Bose headphones, I have some Beats headphones, I check in the Apple, earpods that always are falling out of my ears. I check in, I try to check in a lot of different kinds, some Sennheiser headphones, some Audio Technica headphones, and there's different types of headphones that you listen to for different reasons. The Audio Technicas and the Sennheisers I listen to for accuracy. The Beats I listen to because they're not accurate. But they're popular. They hype the bass, and they're fun. They're fun to listen to. But a lot of people that I know that a lot of people are going to be listening to my mixes in Beats headphones. Bose headphones, again, they kind of enhance the sound. They're not really, they're not meant to be super accurate. They're meant to be enjoyable. So it's good to check your stuff on all those kinds of things. The other thing that I check on a lot that I think is super important is I actually will listen to stuff just coming out of my laptop speakers, and I'll listen to stuff on my phone. Because, like it or not, and as audio professionals, we don't like it, I mean, but like it or not, a lot of people are going to listen to your stuff that way. You're not in control of, once you send it out the door, you are done. You lose control. People are going to listen to it the way they want to listen to it. And a lot of people listen just on their laptop. A lot of people listen on their phone. I live here in New York City, and I'm walking. Just yesterday, I was walking down the street, and I was behind a couple guys, and one of the guys had his phone and was listening to music for pleasure, just through the phone speaker as he was walking down the street. So that's just a fact of life, and it's a good idea to try to have your mixes and everything really translate well. So listen, I want to introduce a couple of people that I've brought with me today. You guys are getting the A team here. First off, joining us all the way from Canada is our he's an amazing shredding heavy metal guitar player, composer, producer, engineer. He is the director of education here at Berkeley NYC. And let me just introduce and have him say hello, Mr. Arjun Roy.
Thank you, Stephen. You're too kind. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to see all of you here. I see some familiar faces as well. It's delightful. I'm super excited that we can all connect to do this together right now. Thank you all.
That's great. Yeah, Arjun has been, very instrumental in putting together these master's programs that we're doing, and we'll hear more from him. He's also been curating all the submissions that we've had for today, and he and I have been listening through them, and I'm really looking forward to getting into some of these today. It's going to be a lot of fun. The other person I want to introduce is a man who is, just got technology chops out the wazoo, and I lean on him so heavily here at Berkeley NYC. He can handle ambisonic audio. He can handle 360 cinematic video capture. He can mix. He can pretty much do everything, and put together computers, all that kind of stuff. And he is our immersive media specialist, but he's also in charge of our social media, and he wears tons of hats around here. And that is Glenn Forsyth. Glenn, say hello.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for that lovely introduction, Stephen. Really looking forward to this today.
Yeah. So I thought we would start today with a quick introduction to where we are right now, where Glenn and I physically are. We've got so many things going on right now. Later today, we are, directing a music video for an amazing artist by the name of Grace Kelly. If you don't know Grace, you need to check her out. She is fantastic, jazz saxophonist, one of the best young improvisers, I think, on the scene today. But she doesn't stop there. She's a singer, she's a songwriter, she's a dancer, she's a social media influencer. And if you don't know Grace, I can say I'll be doing you a favor by turning you on to Grace Kelly. You should check her out. We've got her in the house making a music video, and we're using the big LED screen down in our black box theater, and all our red cameras, and she's bringing in a team of dancers and choreographers, and somebody to do hair. Glenn, are you on a laptop, or can you show people where you are in the black box right now?
Sure, actually, I'm in the black box due to where the LED wall is, and hopefully without unplugging too many things while pivoting around, I can throw something up there just to show you all. So right now, that's one of our backdrops for the shoot today. It's a gigantic LED wall, which is basically allowing us to capture, instead of doing a green screen, it's allowing us to actually capture action being filmed with real people. So it's kind of like an AR thing. A lot of movie studios are doing this now. It's really exciting technology, and we're very lucky to be able to test it out today and run it through its paces.
Yeah, one of the things we have going is we actually have Grace. There's an instrumental part of this tune where she's playing a bunch of different saxes. So we had her come in the other day, and we captured her playing bari sax and alto sax in front of a green screen. And then Glenn took that footage, took out the green screen, and now we're going to have her in real life, IRL, standing in the middle, playing a soprano sax, along with her playing the bari sax and her playing the tenor sax. But they'll be on the or they'll be on the LED screen, and she'll be in real life. It's pretty great. The Mandalorian is a film that oh yeah, I think Glenn might be getting that up. But anyway, The Mandalorian is a TV show that does all the capture this way. They use this XR feature where they're not shooting in front of green screens. They're actually shooting in front of these huge LED walls. So the actors are actually seeing the same thing that the audience is, and all these exotic locations on all these different planets are actually being done by that. But anyway, let's jump into. I want to show you guys a little something about the Power Station Studios where we're at, and then I'm going to jump right in and try to get our conversation going to make everybody a better producer and listener and all of the above. So, Glenn, do you think you could share that little minute and 20-second reopening video that we just made a couple weeks ago?
What does it mean to capture the magic of a live musical performance today? The vision, nuance, and emotion. In 1977, Power Station Studios in New York redefined what it meant to capture that magic with otherworldly temples of sound featuring unprecedented acoustics, sightlines, and technology. Today, Power Station at Berkeley, NYC returns to the vanguard as the world's first fully integrated studios, combining analog and digital audio excellence with cinematic visual artistry, providing visionary artists with an expanded toolkit that includes unobtrusive multi-camera capture, instant high-end live streaming and broadcast, and 360 cinematic virtual reality with immersive audio. All served up with the amenities and privacy clients expect from one of the world's premier recording destinations. Power Station at Berkeley, NYC. Preservation through transformation.
Wow, that shook me up, I tell you. Anyway, so yeah, Berkeley took over the Power Station about 3 or 4 years ago. We ran it for a while we were getting ready for renovations, and now it's been totally renovated. and we are now running it as a professional facility. We just reopened in January, and already we've been super busy. We've been doing a lot of jazz sessions. We've had Christian McBride in several times. We've had oh gosh, we're doing a lot of work for clients like Netflix, HBO, Disney. We're doing music for Marvelous Miss Maisel. We're doing a new show for Apple TV and NBC. Lauren Michaels production. We're just staying really, really busy with a lot of different types of music and a lot of different types of clients. Integrating video into the studio was a big priority for me, because I feel like I personally feel like at this point in human history, video is so important. It's like if you can't see it, it didn't happen. And so, studios, what it means to capture live music now and moving forward is not just capturing audio, but it's capturing audio and video. So almost every time we're setting up a microphone, we're revving up the cameras as well. And that seems to be, really getting a lot of uptake with our clients. And I'm hoping, those of you who own studios or work at studios know it's been tricky. The studio business has been a very tricky thing for the last 20 years. Technology has gotten more ubiquitous and less expensive. When this studio started, Power Station, in 1977, if you wanted to make a record, you had to go to a studio. If you wanted to do some multi-track recording, you had to find somebody that had a multi-track recorder, and those things were expensive and they were commercial endeavors. But of course now, everybody's got their own studios, which is great as well, but it takes a lot of that demand away. And then also because of, the way that the music industry has kind of evolved from physical product to other means of distribution, the value of recorded music has the return on investment for recorded music has also been affected quite significantly. So when I took over the studio here, we were getting less for Studio A. We were getting less in, a lower fee for Studio A at the Power Station, at the premier studio in New York, than the Hilton down the street was getting for a conference room the same size, with no equipment, no engineers, nothing. They were getting more money for a conference room of the same size than our predecessors were charging for Studio A. So our goal really is to reinvent the live music recording industry, and it seems like video is going to be a big piece of that. So what I'm hoping is that this does work, and early indications are it might be working. But if we kind of reinvent the studio to be not just making stereo audio files, but being a full service thing that supplies audio and video and all the things that go around that, live streaming, all the things at a very professional level, my hope is that we can kind of redefine the model. And then it's not just us that's doing it, but everybody can kind of replicate that around the world and start making some decent money again, and renting time for what it's really worth, rather than this. They were basically, Studio A was running for the exact same dollar amount when we took over as they were getting in 1994, and that's not even adjusted for inflation. That's the same amount. So now we've raised our rates. People are paying it. We do have alumni rates. I know a lot of people ask me that on these calls. We have student rates and our alumni rates. Yeah, Whitney's been here. We want people in the Berklee community to basically be in luck and have benefits from us taking this over as well. So anyway, that's just a little thing about the studio. Real quick, are there any questions about Power Station or anything like that before I dive into our masterclass today? Don't be shy. You can just raise your hand. Actually, I haven't even looked in the chat yet. Let's see here. All right, anybody? Don't be shy. All right. Well, listen, I'll be doing this from time to time. So if you have a chat, I've got the chat open now, and if you've got a question as I'm going along, feel free. Yeah, as Jason just said, feel free to type in questions, and because I do want to make this as interactive as possible. And also Jason, Arjun, Glenn, if you notice that I haven't noticed a question, or if you think there's a really good question that's there, give me a little while because I might not be answering it because we're about to get to it. But if you notice that there's something that we haven't gotten to, feel free to throw it up on my radar. So I'm going to share my screen right now. How many? Just show of hands, they can be electronic or real. How many of you produce your own music? How many of you produce your own music? Great. Just seems like a lot of folks. How many primarily produce music for other people, for other clients, for collaborators, things like that? How many of you? Okay, so not as many, but yeah, but a fair amount. Okay, good. That's really helpful. That's really helpful. How many of you are songwriters? I'm curious. How many of you guys are also songwriters? Fantastic. And one more question, how many of you are artists as well? How many of you also consider yourselves to be artists? That's fantastic. It's so great that that we're in a world now where artists can produce their own material, and it's a wonderful thing, despite the fact that it makes it a little challenging for professional studios like us. But it is an awesome thing. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to talk. My goal right now is, in the time that we have in the 37 minutes we have left, to actually give you some new tools and strategies to become better at being at producing either your material or other people's material, and give you some really good tools and strategies to use. And then also I want to listen to some of the stuff that you guys sent in and give you some comments on that. Great stuff. I'm so tickled with the stuff that you guys have sent in. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. Let's see here. Are we looking good? Jason, is this looking like it should, or do I need to still start my slideshow, or are we looking good? We're looking good? Great. Okay.
That's awesome.
So the first question, and actually, you know what? I want you guys to type in the chat, okay? I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you guys to type your answers in chat. You can just guess. You can be funny if you want. You can, go ahead and type these in. So first question I want to ask you guys is, what talent does Miles Davis have in common with Miley Cyrus? What do you think? What talent do they both have in common? And this is really the crux of the matter. What is the one talent that all effective recording artists have in common? Free expression, provocation, songwriting, thinking outside the box. They both are beyond bond. I love these. They both managing their looks. Although almost all these things are true, but I could come up with some examples of people that maybe don't manage their looks that well. John Prine kind of looked he was not a great looking guy, but he was a very effective recording artist. Unique vision is good, although again, and I think that's a really good thing to have, but I would say Nickelback maybe doesn't have a unique vision, but again, you kind of have to argue that they're pretty effective recording artists in terms of a lot of people love their stuff. Self-confidence is good. All these things are really good things to have. I would, for self-confidence, that I'm trying to find the exception to the rule. I think all these things are typically true. I would say there's an artist by the name of Nick Drake. I don't know how many of you guys know Nick Drake, but the poor guy had no self-confidence whatsoever. But oh my gosh, he passed away. I think he committed suicide, unfortunately. But since he died, his music has been universally just revered because it's so good. He made such great records. Let's put this a couple other ways. What talent does Gustavo Dudamel have in common? Think about Gustavo Dudamel, the maestro of the L.A. Philharmonic. What does he have in common with Beyonce? What do those two have in common? What do you think? Something to say and share? Boy, that's really important. That they run the world. I love it. They both came in like a wrecking ball. This is good. I kind of like doing this with chats. I do this live, and only one person can talk at once. It's kind of nice doing it with the chat because great hair. There you go. That helps. That helps. Although, yeah, there's unfortunately a lot of recording artists who have pretty crummy hair. Neil Diamond has pretty bad hair these days. Poor guy. Although he had pretty great hair for a while. Work ethic, that can really help. Yep. But I would say that, in terms of work ethic, man, there's some people like the Beatles. Think about this. The Beatles did their entire catalog in 7 years. It typically, after the first 2 albums, the band Boston took at least 8 years to make each subsequent album, and still they had many successful albums after that, but my God, it took them so long to do it. It's really kind of funny to think about. Okay, so the talent that all effective recording artists share is, and drum roll please. Okay, wait for it. What's he gonna say? It is the ability to convey emotion through music. I contend that this is the one non-negotiable. The rest of these things that everybody's putting down is really important, and all those things will really, really help. But if you don't convey emotion through your music, you're not going to get out of the starting gate. It's got to convey emotion, and it doesn't matter what style of music it is. It doesn't matter if it's pop or jazz or country or bluegrass or polka. Or Tejano. It's the ability to convey emotion through music is really the one thing that you've got to have. So we're going to talk about emotional listening. And the first question I have is really, why do people listen to music in the first place? And not musicians. We're weird. We're messed up. We listen to music to spy on each other. We listen to music to get new ideas and to check everything out. And so music, and actually there's this amazing study where they put musicians into functional MRI machines, magnetic resonant imaging machines, and they would play the music and they would compare that to when they played music for just normal people. And the differences were stark. When musicians listen to music, the part of the brain that's most engaged is the part that deals with mathematics, and the part that deals with analysis. And for normal people, the part of the brain that's activated the most when they listen to music is the pleasure centers. So by becoming musicians, we've kind of ruined music for ourselves. I hate to say it, and you can get back there. It's not as bad as all that. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but we do listen to music in different ways. And part of what this is about is trying to kind of get back to where we were, so that we can be, better judges of what we're doing professionally in our craft. So, why do people listen to music in the first place? I listen to music because sometimes artists write words that I feel like they've been writing for you. Yeah, I love that. Dreaming and feeling, a specific feeling, creating vision depending on the emotion. Yes, we listen to music to feel something. It's a way to relax, have fun, enjoy the feeling. Yes, all this is true. Basically, we are listening to music because of how it makes us feel, right? Maya Angelou famously said that, everyone will forget what you said, everyone will forget what you did, but nobody will forget how you made them feel. And it's so true. So really, if you think about it, our palette as musicians, as artists, as producers, as people who are putting new original music out into the world, the palette that we're working with is really the emotions of our audience, right? We're trying to convey or provoke an emotion, an emotional response from people. And this is so easy to lose sight of because of all the other stuff we've got to do. You got to learn theory, you got to get your tone together, you got to have a good time. technologically, you've got to get your gear together, you got to get your, make your mixes tight. So it's very easy to let all of those other things kind of get in the way of the idea that what we really have to do is we really have to convey emotion. So let me ask you this. Let's name some emotions. Let's get the target up there. What are some emotions that you could convey? What are some emotions that could be conveyed by music? Joy. I love it. Yes, yes. Love. Oh, come on. Love. You think anybody is ever going to write a song about love? Come on. No, you're right. Love is huge. Anger, happiness, hope, anger. We got a few angers. Anger's in the lead right now. And love. Fear, confusion, compassion. These are great. Happy, sad, grief, heartbreak. Yeah. Desperation, freedom, hope. I love this. Oh, this is so interesting. We have sometimes we have a few at the same time. Power, sadness. Best lyrics come from sadness. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it can be true that sometimes heartache is where a lot of art springs from. All right. Well, these are all great. I jotted down just a few examples of emotions that could be conveyed. Here they are. And this is actually just scratching the surface. But the reason I put these up here is to think about, oh my God, there's such a range of emotions that could be conveyed through music. What a rich tapestry we have to work with here. And sometimes what I like to do is when I'm sitting down to write something new, instead of, I mean, a lot of times, like probably all of you, I have something in mind. I'm kind of inspired. I kind of want to write something in a certain style, or I have a melody fragment I'm starting out with, or a lyrical, a title or something like that, or a few lines that I've thought up. But what I love to do after I start working on something is I love to start thinking about, okay, what emotion does it feel like I'm trying to convey here? And actually start thinking about, how can I convey that emotion? Because that way you can get the prosody of what you're doing. You can get the prosody of your art, which is, how everything fits together, much more together and lined up, and make a much more cohesive artistic statement. But think about it. There's so many of these. Agitation, anger, we talked about. Anticipation, that can be a good one, and musically you can do a lot, to kind of put forth anticipation. Anxiousness, arousal, awe, boredom, being calm, being confident. Obviously the things like delight and desire, are well worn, but I also like things like righteous indignation, can be a lot of fun. Wrath, wonder, vengeance. There's so many different things that can be conveyed. Rage. I love the name of the band, Rage Against the Machine. You know exactly what you're getting into there. Rage Against the Machine. You don't listen to them. You're not going to call them up to listen to ballads and and feel all lovey-dovey. You're gonna you know what you're getting into. So anyway, I think it's a great idea to kind of have an idea of what it is we're looking at. Now, along with emotions, I would say the other really important thing to think about that we convey with music is we can elicit a kinesthetic or sensory response. So first off, let me just ask you, what do we mean what do we mean by kinesthetic response? What is a kinesthetic response? Anybody? What do you think? What do we mean by kinesthetics? Movement. Yes. Basically, kinesthetics, we are talking about, you're all right, responses of the body, and it has to include some movement, okay? Yes, like crying, exactly. Making people dance without hesitating. Yeah, if you can constantly make music that causes people to involuntarily dance, you are going to have a career. I can guarantee it, because that's so important. And in fact, when I'm working with students and they're working on quote unquote dance records, if they play their record for the group and everybody isn't, involuntarily bopping their head and tapping their foot and all that, it's pretty obvious they still got work to do. You know, the groove is not there yet. You know, it really has to be something that's that infectious. Shivering, I like that. That's so good. Again, let's pop up a few examples of kinesthetic or sensory responses. There are so many. Chills is another one, man. That's a gold standard. If you can constantly churn out music that's actually going to give people chills, I guarantee you're going to have work. Clapping, clicking your fingers. Now, some of these are a little more subtle. You know, a concerned expression. What is that? You know, looking up, looking down, protruding lower lip. I love this one. And a lot of times when people listen to Victor Wooten play the bass, I found that they kind of go, you know, protrude their lower lip and it's just like, yeah, that's it. That's bad, you know. Smiling, squinting, and tilting the head to one side, you know, I think that's, you know, for particularly intricate lyrics and things like that, that can be holding breath. Have you ever listened to something and realized you haven't been breathing? I love that. The hair standing up on the back of your neck, goosebumps, furling brow, all these things are, again, targets. You know, if we can make music that causes people to do these things, you know, playing air guitar, air drums, that's, you know, it's gonna actually move your audience, and that's really what we're trying to do, not just with music, but with all of art. We're trying to move our audience emotionally, give them some sort of a kinesthetic response, and then if we can say something about the human condition, you know, that's even better. All of the above. So, listening like a producer, you want to be in a good listening environment, free from distractions. Again, headphones can work. You want to clear your mind. You want to take a few deep cleansing breaths. So this is what I'm talking about here. Is I spent a lot of time when I was writing the MP&E curriculum for production, talking to, you know, producers like Phil Ramone and Don Was, and, you know, just about what is it that they do, how is it that they listen differently, and these are things that every producer that I know will talk about, that they want to elevate listening to a higher level, to where it's not just casual, you just kind of hear it coming out of the speakers, but you really go from a state of not listening to a state of listening. So you want to clear your mind, take a few deep cleansing breaths, let go of your prejudices, and become an empty vessel. Now, this is easier said than done. We're all a bundle of our own prejudices. But I find that the more that I worked as a recording engineer, the easier this was for me. Because I would have, you know, band after band and artist after artist come into Mid-South Recording, and I would have to figure out what is it about this style of music that I was unfamiliar with that was, you know, really what people responded to. And, you know, it would be like a forensics exercise. You know, I felt like a secret agent sometimes trying to figure this out. But letting go of my prejudices, you know, I'm doing a lot of research right now for a new course that I'm writing, and all the evidence suggests that most people, their musical tastes wind up getting kind of calcified in their early teens. For men, it's 14. For women, it's 15. And my point is this: you know, think about what if your taste in art, your taste in food, all that, what if you stopped, you know, developing those things at that point? You know, it'd be really embarrassing to be, you know, 40 years old and all you eat is hamburgers and macaroni and cheese. But more importantly, you'd be missing out on so much amazing food, you know. So what I want to encourage everybody to do is let go of your prejudices. You know, the things that you decided you didn't like when you're 14, 15 years old, just blow that away. And start really opening your mind. Become an empty vessel when you listen to music. Allow yourself to be a good audience. I learned this from the director Robert Owen Scott, who I used to write film scores for. And he would always talk about whenever he goes to see a movie, he would just allow himself to be a good audience. And if the movie could sweep him up, he would let it. And then he would kind of analyze it afterwards. Be an honest broker of emotion, reporting what you feel. And here's something that I love to do, and I learned this from a lot of the producers that mentored me, is make short, quick notes and then return to a relaxed state of listening. Now, personally, I do this on legal pads. You can do it any way you want. If you're super comfortable taking notes on your phone, totally fine. I happen to love doing legal pads and a pencil. And if you come to the Power Station Studios, we stock the studios with legal pads and pencils of, legal pads of different sizes. And this has been going on forever, just so people can make notes. That works for me, but you can do it any way that you really want to. So, okay. So play the record, relax and listen. When you identify an emotional response, jot it down. When you notice a kinesthetic or sensory response in your body, jot that down. Okay? So what we're going to listen for right now, we're going to do this in real time. And what I want you to do is just listen, write down whatever emotional response you have, write down whatever kinesthetic or sensory response you have. Everybody good with that? Okay? All right. So take a deep breath, let go of your prejudices, and get ready to jot down notes. Okay? Everybody just relax. And here we go.
It's oh so quiet. Shh, shh. It's oh so still. Shh, shh. You're all alone. Shh, shh. And so peaceful until you fall in love. Sing boom, the sky up above. Sing boom is caving in. Wow, wow. You never been so nuts about a guy you wanna love. You wanna cry, you cross your heart and hope to die till it's over. And then shh, shh. It's nice and quiet. Shh, shh. But soon again, shh, shh. Starts another big riot. You blow a fuse. Sing boom, the devil cuts loose. Sing boom, so what's the use? Wow, wow, of falling in love.
Actually, you know what? Feel free to type your emotional responses and kinesthetic responses right into the chat. I hadn't thought of that. Let's try doing that.
It's oh so still. You're all alone. And so peaceful until you ring that bell. Big bell. Shout and you yell. How you broke the spell. To this is swell. You almost have a fit. This guy is coach and I got hit. There's no mistake. This is it. Till it's over. And then it's nice and quiet. Shh, shh. But soon again, shh, shh. Starts another big riot. You blow a fuse. Sing boom, the devil cuts loose. Sing boom, so what's the use? Wow, wow, of falling in love. The sky keeps in, the devil cuts loose. You blow, 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 blow your fuse. Ah!
All right. Well, it's been fun watching the comments go by. Um, yeah. So this is Bjork. This is actually an old song from the 1940s called "It's Oh So Quiet," and yeah. So let's see here. Makes me want to grab my trombone right now and be fired. That's awesome. Inspirational, happy, tango. So those attacks give me the bass face. Felt free, rise and fall of energy. Yeah, this is one of those songs. The reason I use this song a lot is that it's just it's a roller coaster of emotions, right? And the whole idea is she's talking about love and how she's just minding her own business, everything's cool, and then wham, she falls in love, and then her whole world is topsy turvy, and it's all just crazy, and and it's nuts, and then she whatever happens in the relationship ends, um, and then things get back to being cool again. She's all fine. She knows where everything is. Everything's in its place. You can put away the dishes and they stay put away. And then bam, it happens again. And so it's kind of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Um, and I find too, there's a couple really interesting kinesthetic things that happen here too. Um, One is that this song is what made me realize that that more of a 3/4 6/8 kind of feel make people sway this way, and that then when you get into the 4/4, you're swaying this way. And I've played this for dozens, if not hundreds, of audiences around the world, and it happens every single time. Something about it's oh so quiet, dun 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 dun. And we kind of tend to sway this way in triple meter, and we kind of tend to sway this way in duple meter, which is just fascinating to me. It's just one of those fascinating things. Anyway, okay, so you kind of get the idea, right? The main reason I want to do this is to really get you guys thinking about just how to listen. Okay. So let's see. Let me get back to my power present. So, what emotions did you feel in reaction to this record? Everybody wrote down some great emotions. What kinesthetic responses did you have in relation to this record? That's what we're really after. And also, did anything pull you out of the emotion of this record? It's interesting. This particular record, it's very controversial. I find when I play it. Some people, and let me, I can maybe let me just see your faces and see which camp you're in. For some people, the shh was really annoying. Every time I play this, for some people, shh is really annoying, and for other people, shh is like kind of comforting and kind of and usually audiences fall into two camps there. And I think that might have to do with kind of what is your relationship to the shh. If you've been shushed a lot as a kid or by teachers or something like that, it's probably a really annoying thing and you never want to hear it again. If you haven't, it could be more like a lover just saying, shh, come here. Or something like that. It could be more of a friend or a lover or something like that. So that's one of the things that I often hear, kind of pulls people out of it is like, oh, I can't believe she's just. And the other thing is her yells, the way she goes, ah, some people love that. Some people hate that. But I would say this too. This is I think a lesson we can draw from that is that if you have something in a song or in a recording that is just so bold that it is really eliciting a response, that response is going to be different for different people. Some people are absolutely going to love it, and some people are going to hate it. So if you play your record that you're working on for some people and they absolutely hate it, that's better than them not having much of a response at all. It's much better. Because you're probably going to find some people who really like it. The worst thing is if you play your records for somebody and they're just kind of like, yeah, it's it's all right, or they don't want to hear it. So that's what I would take away from that. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. Man, how does time fly so quickly? I tell you what. All right. So let me give you some quick tools and strategies because I really want you to come away with some really tangible things, and then we're going to listen to some music. Okay, so listening like a producer. First off, goals. Listening technically. You want to be able to listen technically to where you can, you can tell if the bass is speaking right, the vocal is tucked in the right way. If there's too much reverb, not enough reverb, if the high end is out of control, all those kind of things. You want to get to where you can listen technically, and for that, that does take study, just like technique on an instrument. And they're at Berklee online, and your schools that you're in and around the world probably have some good classes you can take in this. Listening objectively. This is kind of what we were talking about in terms of letting go of prejudices. If you can listen objectively, that can be really valuable, and again, it does take some work to kind of get over your prejudices that you've already had. Listening on multiple levels at once. So this is kind of listening technically and objectively and emotionally all at the same time. That's where you want to get. That's kind of one of the goals that you have. And then this is super important. This is something that is almost always a challenge for everybody. It's still a challenge for me. And that is listening for the 100th time as though it's the first time. Let's face it, if you're working on a record, you are going to listen over and over and over again, and you're going to lose your perspective. So figuring out some strategies where you can listen on listen number 100 and actually get some good data from that listen is one of those things that's really super important, and we're going to talk about how to do that. So this is kind of the list of goals that I would put forth that you want to do in terms of trying to listen like a producer. Okay, so tools and strategies. Number 1, here we go. This is the good stuff. These are the tools. All right. The first tool and strategy I would give you for listening like a producer is maybe a little counterintuitive, but it is don't listen. So what do I mean by that? Here's the thing. I know when I was starting out, and still I do this now if I get excited about something I'm working on, I record something and I'm working on it and I just listen to it constantly. I'm listening to it all the time, and over and over and over again. If you want to get to the goals that we were just talking about of listening objectively and technically and all that, try not to listen. This could be for a weekend, for as long as possible, basically. Now, if you're working on a project, that may just be a few hours or it may just be overnight. But for as long as possible, try not listening to the project that you're working on. Overnight, 2 days, a week, whatever it is that you can do. I know a lot of professionals, when they're working on an album, they'll record all the basics and the overdubs and then do rough mixes, and then they'll go away and take a 2-week break. That's the ultimate. That can be really good. Just get away from it. Don't let yourself listen to it, and then come back with fresh ears. That's a strategy that I highly, highly recommend. Okay. Number 2, the number 2 strategy for listening like a producer is put all your weight on the first listen. When you do come back, don't just start listening to it over and over and over and over again and wait for things to sink in. Do what we just did in terms of listening, and take a deep breath, clear your mind, turn off your phone, all that kind of stuff. Get to where you can take notes, and then put all your weight on that first listen, because that's where you're going to really get the most data. Humans are adaptable. It's one of our best features. You can live next door to a train track and the train comes by every 3 minutes and it's super loud. After 2 weeks, you won't even hear it anymore. We're adaptable. But it can also work to our detriment. People get used to abusive relationships, or crazy politicians, so humans are very adaptable. It's just part of who we are. It can be a real plus, but it also can be a challenge. So keep that in mind. Perception is pliable. Something that happens in my production classes all the time is somebody will bring something in and play it for the class, and basically at first everybody says, "Oh man, what happened in the intro? There was that bad drum fill. It fell apart there in the intro. Are you going to fix that?" And a lot of times, what the student producer who produced it says is, "I was going to, but now I kind of like it." And so what I usually do in these situations is I say, well, play it again. And he'll play it again. And often, even just in the second listen, maybe one person will say, it's not that bad. But, the rest of the people are like, nah, you got to fix it. We'll listen 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. If we actually listen 5, 6 times, almost everybody in the room winds up going, you could keep it. It's all right. And here's the thing. I was talking to my friend Susan Rogers, who's a neuroscientist, as well as was the producer for or the engineer for Prince, for Purple Rain and all his big records. And she says this. She says, what's going on neurologically is your brain is actually quantizing the track. You listen to it over and over again, and she says the thing that humans cannot stand is cognitive dissonance. Our whole basis of reality is based on we've got to keep cognitive dissonance at bay. So if we know that drum fill was supposed to come in on 3 and 4 and end on 1, the more you listen to it, the more your brain is actually going to move it around and get it kind of to work. And then, when you listen, perception is pliable. Your 10th listen is going to be totally different from your first listen. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, that can work in your favor. If people bother to listen to your stuff 10 times, that's great. But here's the thing, man. There's hundreds of thousands of recordings coming out every year. Just to get somebody to listen for the first time is a huge accomplishment. If you turn them off and that first listen or 2 or 3, chances are they're going to move on. There is so much stuff to listen to. So just keep in mind that you want to put all your weight on that first listen, and it's going to really help you make your record much more polished. Learn how to harness that first impression. Be very dear about it. Okay. Number 3, listen through someone else's ears. Also super important. Bring in somebody else. Play the track with somebody from a different perspective. Have you noticed this, that you will listen differently if you're playing it with somebody else in the room? I listen entirely different. Learn to observe stealthily, meaning learn to kind of step back and watch people as they're listening. You can tell more probably from just observing their kinesthetic responses than what they actually tell you after they listened. If you're in the studio, you can use the control room glass for this. I often do this, and I can watch people kind of responding, in their reflection, which is really helpful. And they don't know I'm looking at them. What you don't want to do is just go, look at somebody really, obviously, because it's going to affect how they do it. And then take into account their biases. You don't want your project to be jerked around by, the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the husband or the wife of the artist. Everybody's going to have an opinion. You've really got to take into account everybody's biases and who are they, and not just, I've seen projects go horribly astray because there were too many cooks in the kitchen. So I would just say that, listening through somebody else's ears is important. And obviously, if it's your client, if you are servicing, if you're engineering or producing someone else, obviously, the artists themselves have got to be super happy with it. But just take into account the biases of especially the people who are not the primary artist. Okay. For more information, I've got a class called Music Production Analysis on Berklee Online. I'm revamping it right now, and I encourage you to check it out. Also, I've got a Coursera. I've got a MOOC, massive open online course called The Art of Music Production on Coursera, and you're welcome to check those out. I want to jump into, because I know we're getting close to being out of time, but I want to jump to actually listening now to some of your stuff. So Arjun, who should we start with? Let's listen. Let's all listen together, and I want everybody to listen in the same way that we were just talking about listening. Arjun, who should we start with?
How about, let's see if they're here. First of all, is Andreas here? Andreas Polidoris?
Yeah, I remember this one very well.
Yeah, you can just unmute yourself and say, hey, if you are.
Yeah, Andreas, are you here? We want to make sure that whoever we listen to is actually here to get the comments.
Perhaps not.
Who's the next person?
Next, we have Besta Sue. Hey.
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. All right, let's do it.
Hi.
Take a deep breath, let go of all your prejudices, and let's listen.
Let's listen. Here we go. It's coming in hot.
you doing?
I'm good. You?
Me too. I talked to him. I told him everything.
Oh my God, really? What did he say?
He says he's a friend of mine. Says he's a friend of mine. But that is not enough for me. He's not the man of mine. Says he's a girl of faith. He says he cares about me. Oh, please. See, that is not enough for me. He's not the man of mine.
So what did you say?
I'm afraid to show you what you want from me. Waiting for you, my baby, don't you see? Here I am, what are you waiting for? Just come to me. Not a one word from me, waiting you. Don't you see? Here I am. Come to me, man of mine.
Great. Oh man. First off, just big ups. We're gonna fade it out just because it's I want,
Thank you.
oh man, Betsy Sue. Is that how to say your name is Betsy Sue?
It's best so.
Besta Sue. Best.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, big props. I just love this. I love, I am it draws me right in, the whole phone conversation thing. You make us wait for it a little while, the bass comes in and we kind of, you've got to be willing to go there. But if you do, I think it really pays off nicely. The phone conversation really draws me in. And I love the way that it unfolds and it develops. It feels like the beat comes in just the right spot, and things keep getting added in to keep our interest, which I absolutely love. I love the space, at the end of the first chorus or wherever that comes in, that there's space. I spent time with Sir George Martin, the guy who produced the Beatles. I interviewed him for Mix Magazine and got to be with him several times over his career. And his big thing was that he would always preach that every record should take a breath, somewhere it should just take a breath. And if you listen to the Beatles records that he produced, they take a breath at some point, and I think that's really important. And you totally nailed that. Giving a little bit of space is really nice. The other thing I love about this is how upfront the vocal is. You've really recognized that the vocal is so important to this. We have to understand every single word. As I was listening to this earlier, I felt like there was a little bit in the end. We faded out before we got there, but there was just look out. There's a couple places in the end where it's maybe not quite as enunciated as earlier. So just make sure that happens all the way through. I think this is just excellent work. So congratulations on this, and keep doing this. Keep doing this. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so happy right now.
You should be. You should be. You got to keep cranking this stuff out. And that's my message to all of you guys. I can't tell you how many students I've had. It's it's stick to itness that really makes it. There's this band that came out of Berkeley called Carmen, that blew up the charts. And it was their 88th YouTube video that took off. If they had stopped at 77, nobody would have ever heard of them. Charlie Puth, when he was a student at Berkeley, he probably made, I think he made something like, 175 YouTube videos of his work, and again, it wasn't until like 150 or so that he got, that he really blew up, and and Ellen and everybody was calling, so it's not just about YouTube videos, but it's about sticking to it and getting stuff out there, don't be too dear about it. The way you get better at stuff is by, by iterating it, by doing more of it. Okay, Arjun, let's do one more. I know we've got to run, but let's do at least one more because I'm so psyched to be listening to you guys' stuff.
Absolutely. Let's see. Is Arlen Seaton here? Just unmute and say hey real quick.
Arlen Seaton.
Nope, perhaps not.
Okay, who else we got?
All right, next up, how about, I see you, Stella Key. There you are.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
Stella Key is here.
Let's listen to Stella. Okay, everybody take a nice deep breath, clear your mind, take some notes, and write down any emotions that you feel or kinesthetic responses. And Arjun, let it play.
Here it is.
Breaking down the silence, know the lies behind it. Now you got your hands on me. Falling too deep, I'm falling to your feet. Are you gonna love me now? Bend and we break, keep making mistakes, but we never seem to learn. Keep counting sheep, but I'm losing in sleep. Are you gonna love me now? Ooh, it seems like we're strangers. Once again, cross the lines, placing my heart in danger. Right when I fly along, burning flames don't seem to learn. Keep making mistakes, keep making mistakes. Thoughts that we turn, we're hurting ourselves. I'm breaking myself, I'm breaking myself. Now I'm gonna need you, I'm gonna need you. Now I'm gonna need you, I'm gonna need you.
این دختره خیلی خوب بود بچه
Waiting for the signs that
ببین
we
از
see
یه
by
چیز
your eyes on me.
جمعه چیزه
Falling too deep, I'm falling at your knees. Are you gonna love me now? Ooh, it seems like we're strangers. Once again, cross the lines, placing my heart in danger. Right when I fall along, burning flames don't seem to learn. Keep making mistakes, keep making mistakes. Thoughts that we turn, we're hurting ourselves. I'm breaking myself, I'm breaking myself. Burning flames don't seem to learn. Keep making mistakes, keep making mistakes. Thoughts that we turn, we're hurting ourselves. Making my way out to set my heart free. Making my
Right.
way
Yeah. Bravo. Bravo. Oh man. Stella, great job. Great work. Is that you singing too?
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Oh man, I love this. Yeah, yeah. This is, I love the way that it's written. I love the rhyme scheme. I love the fact that you kind of use internal rhymes, and then you just unabashedly use the same word now. Where you might expect a rhyme. That's really great. I love the way that you used song form, I think, really well. It goes from the verse into the pre-chorus, and then when we get to the chorus, it pays off. And that's something that I want everybody to think of is, when you get to the chorus, does it really pay off? Does it, the chorus in a pop context, like we're in here, the chorus should kind of be the reward for hanging in there, through the verse and the pre-chorus, and there should be something really satisfying about when you get to that chorus, and it's just like yes, 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 I love it. And I love the fact that you get the band in, the beat really comes in full force, for the first time, when we get to that chorus, which is really, really great. One thing I would say, if just to think about, and I don't know that I would necessarily go back and change this song necessarily, although you could if you wanted to. But the one thing I would say about the chorus is that typically you want the chorus in some way, usually, and there's exceptions to this, so you can totally disregard this if you want, but typically once we get to the chorus, we tend to want the chorus itself to be a little simpler, a little more simple than the verses. If the verses are super wordy, we want the chorus to be, a little less wordy, so we don't have to kind of, pay quite so much attention and be right in there. I would say the one thing, that I would, about the chorus, I loved the way that the chorus came in, with the kind of two vocal lines, and I love having the high descant line in there. I think that really sets the chorus off from the other part. Between that and the lower line and that instrumental hook that you had in there, which are all three good things, it seemed to get a little busy for me. I was having a little bit of trouble just kind of laying down into it and letting it wash over me. I was having to work a little harder, to kind of grasp what was going on in the chorus, and usually the chorus kind of has the opposite effect. It's like, there's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing that can't be sung. There's nothing you can do. It's easy. There's really wordy verse, and then the chorus is just, all you need is love. Da, 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 da. All you need is love. The chorus gets super simple, and it doesn't always have to be that stark. But it is something that I'm aware of, when I'm producing or working with an artist, is just to try to, the chorus is the part. The whole reason it's called the chorus is why, because you want everybody to sing along, right? You want it to be a chorus of people singing along. Studies show that there's this hormone that's been very popular in the news for years now, called the trust hormone, which is oxytocin, which tends to get released when people are cuddling, or when mothers are feeding their nursing their babies, or when people are making love, and all these kind of intimate things. What's interesting is oxytocin is also released in the brain in large quantities when people sing together. So think about that. Oh my God. If you write a chorus that everybody sings together, you're basically evoking the same chemical reaction as lovers have when they're cuddling, or babies have and mothers have when they're nursing. I mean, how powerful is that? So I think it's, that's all just a really good reason to think about, man, how can we make a chorus that everybody can sing together? Listen, this has been spectacular, but I want to say, Stella, this is so good. You should feel so proud of this. This is amazing work. Your voice is incredible. The way that you express the lyric is so good.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me.
So true, and you got to keep this up. You got to keep making more of this, because it's really I'm really super happy to listen to both of these. I tell you, we need to do another one of these where we can just listen to a lot more of your material. I would just stay forever, but myself and Arjun both are both 15 minutes late to a meeting with our with the folks in Boston to help set up these master's programs, and I'm afraid that if we don't go, they're things are gonna get really weird. So we do have to go, but Jason, I want to thank you again, and Ray and Amanda. You guys just do such amazing work, and it's just so, I'm just so humbled to be a part of this, and to meet all of you. This has been just really, really meaningful for me. So,
Yeah, Stephen, thank you for taking the time to do this. And as we all know, the questions are flying in now, which
right.
is, you always leave them wanting more. and so we're going to do more. For those of you who want to come back, we're going to be back at 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to do another round of this, maybe listen to some new music in that session. And also, I just put the link in there, and Ray dropped it in as well. Go to our link tree. We're producing sessions like this regularly.
Yeah.
We've got another one coming up next week with Gael Heading, who's our director at the Berkeley Abu Dhabi Center. And he's going to do more on music production techniques and concepts from his background. And we've got tons of other events happening. On Wednesday, we're going to do an event with the renowned artist Juanes. He's going to be our artist series guest this week. And then we're going to do an event that evening on Wednesday night with the Latin Grammy Cultural Foundation. So there's a lot happening in Berkeley. Even though we're not able to get out to you in the world physically, we're here with you, delivering really, really cool content. And follow Berkeley NYC's social media. If you're not following that, you need to follow it, because Glenn and Arjun and the other program directors are putting up amazing content, and they're doing their own sessions as well. So you can follow them and connect in, and hopefully join them for future sessions. And then when the facilities open, if you happen to make a trip to New York City, maybe you can get over there and check it out.
Also, check out our YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, Arjun, throw that link in there, because the YouTube channel's got great videos. Super cool stuff.
Arjun or Glenn, either one. Yeah, throw some of those in there.
Yeah.
Also, we have our website. We have two websites, one for Berkeley NYC and one for one for the Power Station, the professional studio. Tell you what, Arjun and I are going to fly. Glenn, you could stay and maybe throw some links in, and Jason, take as long as you like. Jason and Amanda and Ray, to kind of wrap up. We are going to have to just go join this meeting, but thank you again so much. I so appreciate you, Jason. And,
yeah, man.
And we'll talk real soon, I know.
All right. Take care. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all so much. Take care.
So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us for this session of Global Connections. Again, follow us online on social media, Berkeley Global, Berkeley en Espanol. Get that Linktree link and check out all the sessions that we're delivering. We're hoping to be with you soon. Please stay healthy, stay safe, stay creative. Just keep making music, and we're hoping to be with you very, very soon. Ray, Glenn, thank you for being here and running this today. It's great to see all of our partners and friends and Berkeley alums around the world as well. And we'll talk with you soon. All right. Cheers.